In the next session that we will have now, we will delve into the investor's perspective on the significance of implementing food safety management practices at the firm level, as well as the role of governmental support for national food business. Please join me welcoming again Mr. Anup Jagbani, IFC Global Head of Agribusiness and Forestry. Please take your seat on the stage. And my dear colleague Natia Mbiladze, Global Lead for the IFC Food Safety, Food Loss Prevention and Food Fortification Advisory. And Natia and Anup will engage in the insightful interview where they will discuss these crucial topics. Dear ladies and gentlemen, typically it's our manager Anup who asks questions and inquires about results. But today we decided to turn the tables and give Anup a taste of his own medicine. Natia prepared a very good list of questions, so Anup, get ready.
Thank you, Gata. Thanks. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, firstly, thank you very much for attending this 11th International IFC Food Safety Forum, and thank you for being on our session where we will be exploring the discussion and topics related to investors' perspective on the importance of food safety management system and role of international organizations and governments on promoting the food safety agenda. Today, as I mentioned, we have our manager, Anup Jagbani, who is the head of the global agribusiness and forestry team. Anup has extensive background of agriculture and experience on this field. And yes, today we will be asking questions to Anup. So let's start with, firstly with the agribusiness strategy of IFC. We know that IFC invests and also provides different advisory services in agribusiness. And because of its developmental and also strong role in reducing poverty. And in advisory services, we have 4 global platforms, including the food safety, food loss prevention, and food fortification advisory. My dear colleague Alan Johnson represents here also smallholder farmer advisory platform. Other 2 colleagues, which unfortunately couldn't join us, but leading the sustainable crop production platform and irrigation, and the last platform related to the sustainable protein. So there is other advisory services what IFC is also providing, but in general, can you a little bit elaborate on IFC's agribusiness strategy, which is long time with IFC and support different agribusiness companies worldwide?
Thank you, Natia. Good morning again. So I was telling Natia for this forum, she's my boss, and because she's taken the responsibility in organizing this, so I want to thank Natia on this. Look, as IFC, we are the private sector arm of the World Bank, so we invest in private companies. Here, for example, Corzinka is one of our clients, and we are discussing with other companies as well that produce food and beverages. So that's, as IFC, we support companies in the private space from farm to fork. So whether it's production, transport, warehouse, logistics, and even retail. So our role in the agribusiness space is to improve food security and address nutrition along the way. But there are important links in that chain. And so we try to look at every link in that chain. And so every year we do $1.5 to $2 billion in agri and forestry investments. And our portfolio today is almost $5 billion. And so this covers a whole range of areas, as I mentioned. It can be food processing, it can be dairy, it can be poultry, or primary production. So we cover a number of areas. The goal is the same. As the World Bank Group, we aim to increase help development through the private sector. So that's our fundamental goal. The team, Natia and my colleagues are part of the advisory services that we bring in to support companies to help create a public good in instances where just private sector role is not enough alone. And so we bring in donor money to help address gaps, in this case, fortification or food losses, food safety standards, helping companies as they produce to elevate their standards to reduce food losses and food waste. So we cover a broad range of areas, and we continue to want to do more in this space, as you heard the statistics before on malnutrition, food loss, hungry people, which is I think criminal in a way to have so many hungry people in the world today.
Thank you, Arnold. So you mentioned the different advisory services, including the food safety, and let's explore here the idea for the investor standpoint, the risk and opportunities, correct? When we are doing investable programs and projects. So what might be the important, how these factors could influence like investment decision making, in case there is any specific reason, how IFC is responding on that?
Thank you, Nadia. Yes, I think it's such an important issue for food companies. Imagine, the biggest reputation issue comes from sort of food that is tagged as not safe. So you as a consumer will not buy that food. So the fundamental issue is reputation risk. And once you decide you don't want to buy that, then come the other challenges. There will be losses, you will not have adequate revenues, so financial issues, legal issues. Some of you have followed outbreaks of food recalls. The companies have lots of losses, but also reputation damage, and people don't want to. So there's a long-term damage to that. So from a company's perspective, it's extremely important. And then there are some other companies that say, we're going to make this part of our branding. So you can actually take the issue that can be a problem and make it a strength, so that you can promote yourself as having the best standards in this. And today those standards are very wide. It's not just food safety, but standards on climate footprint, standards on packaging footprint. So companies are doing more and more to establish themselves so that they can build a brand that you can rely on and you want to go with. So it's extremely important from a business point of view.
Thank you. And I couldn't more than agree. So when you mentioned our investment and also advisory fund, I think I see the representatives of the company here as well, where I see is like a long time already partnering with improving the food safety standards, and we hope that we will see also more support in the country as well as worldwide, because the project is global and we are providing not only this type of events but direct support to the clients. And you mentioned in your opening speech, and also Dr. Lukowski mentioned about the Global Challenge programs. We for sure in that time didn't have a chance to talk more about the food and nutrition security. And what is the difference? Because strategy and agribusiness, ENRC and World Bank, it was already like decades. Yeah, so what is the new, how you see that this new Global Challenge program could support to improve the different challenges related to security and nutrition worldwide?
Thank you, Nadia. So I want to take a step back. The Global Challenge program came from the idea that we have many global problems and that we need to do something about them, and the World Bank Group is well positioned for that. So our stakeholders said, okay, these are the global goods that you need to work on, and food security being one of them. And the others, some of you may know, have to do with healthcare, there's water issues, there's forestry, we're losing our forests, with digitization is an important issue, and access to energy, electricity. Right? So food and nutrition security is seen as an important area. We as IFC can work with the private sector. But we heard today about changes in policy just this morning, how the government, the public sector can play a role. So within the World Bank, there is the public sector side and the private sector side. And the idea is to have greater impact by bringing the institutions together in addressing some of these problems. We normally work as separate institutions. The World Bank deals with the public sector, IFC deals with the private sector. But the idea here is, can we bring the institution together for greater impact. So when we go into a country and we see food security as an example, what are the changes in policy that are needed that can help in bringing more food production in the country? Then we as IFC can support the private companies in expanding that food production. So the idea is to bring the entities of the World Bank Group to address these global challenges, bringing the public and private parts together in this global challenge program. So, and the food and nutrition security one, there were 3 themes we identified. One is a crisis preparedness and response. So we have crises because of whether extreme weather or war or droughts. How can we help in that situation, bringing the 3 institutions together? How can we help on nutrition and food loss? So how do we address, you heard statistics again this morning about how many people are malnourished, malnutrition, obesity, and what can we do about nutrition? And the third theme is how do we reduce the impact of food production? So today, food production, for example, uses 70% of the fresh water, is responsible for majority of the deforestation. So for those of you who don't know, as we need to provide for the increasing population of the world, forests are being cut down. So what can we do to address that? So the third theme is really to continue to produce food but with less impact on the environment. So these are the 3 themes that we hope that the Global Challenge Program can help address.
Thank you, Anu. And so we didn't mention for this Global Challenge Program food safety as a topic, but we all understand that if food is safe, if the food is not safe, it's not food. So for sure, food safety is not even discussable. Another point here, so you mentioned about the collaboration, and yes, it's between the World Bank Group, but also with other international organizations, and we are partnering not only on that Global Challenge Program, but also even starting with, let's say, this event where we see different representatives of organizations, which will for sure after the panel sessions will be presented. Same time we have the government, and you rightly mentioned the importance of government regulations and laws in the countries, specifically also when we come back to promote the food safety in the countries. As an investor, how do you see the governmental role, specifically the national level, to promote the food safety?
Thank you, Nadia. So I think setting policy is a key role for the government. It helps set standards, then that guides the food safety standards within the country level and the local level. So I think we earlier heard also through the supply chain, the food standards from farm to fork, we heard that earlier as well. And so we need to have the government set the minimum standards that are needed in this space. Now, beyond that, once the government sets up these standards, sometimes they don't know how to go about it, so lessons from other countries become important. So we as IFC can help in that space, transferring knowledge. We know New Zealand has set certain standards that we can then help other countries replicate and improve their standards. IFC can play an important role in that. And there's the IFC Scan Guide that can help us identify what are the problems and the priorities in the country that need to be addressed, both at the country level and the firm level, so we can bring tools to help countries define a path and what to do in that space. And of course, as you and your team are leading, working with African Union to do something similar at the African context level, to bring countries together on food safety and promote better standards. So our role working with the public sector is to help bring in the knowledge, which I'm hoping this forum also will generate, that then we can share with others.
Thank you, Arnold. And mentioning about this Scan Guide, also like the collaboration between the different governments, and yes, we just signed the African Union agreement. And from June we're starting the next 2-year program with the African Union, but it's not only the governmental representatives who are working on. So in case you have any questions, Kata is showing that we don't have that much time. So in case you have specific questions related on that work, reach me or Kata, we will respond. But let's finish with one thing. You mentioned about the importance of knowledge sharing, and I hope you agree that this type of events and gathering support really to promote the agenda on food safety, but not only. We're talking today on food loss and waste reduction, about the nutrition fortification, importance of the gender angle in agribusiness, as well as disruptive technologies and IT. So I hope that we'll continue this type of events. And I also want here to mention about the Agribusiness Conference, which is coming hopefully this fall. I'm not announcing the date, we're still in the process to confirm that. Do you want to elaborate a little bit about the Agribusiness Conference, which IFC is hosting? And I hope that, so the next sessions this week, which is planned, also will be a continuation of knowledge sharing. Some of you might attend tomorrow's FSSC Master Class, which our colleague, the FSSC Technical Director, I'm not sure if she's now in the room, but if not, so some of you, and especially the technical team, will be part of tomorrow's continuation knowledge sharing.
Thank you, Nadia. Yes. So first, I'm looking forward to this conversation today. I hope it's a great learning event for you and sharing event. I think this is where we can communicate and share best practices. We, as IFC, are hosting an agribusiness conference where we bring in our clients, and I'm pretty excited about technology. So yesterday I was talking to a respect company, and we were discussing all the agri technologies that can help to reduce losses in the fields. To use, for example, less pesticide, less fertilizer. We were discussing how technology can recognize, weed and a plant separately, and then apply, herbicide only to the weed and not to the entire field. So you can reduce the use of pesticide and herbicide. So technology can play a very important role. And so our theme of our agribusiness conference is leveraging technology for agribusiness, and we're looking forward to that. I hope several of you can participate as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Anoop, and once again, thank you very much for confirming to conduct this event in Tashkent, Uzbekistan, because without your support, this event couldn't be happened. So thank you very much.